the third day of the third month of 2014. Happy you're taking 10 minutes for CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azuz. It was a tumultuous weekend in Ukraine. We've told you about protests in the capital, Kiev, that led to the ouster of Ukraine's president last month. Most of those protesters want their country to have closer ties with Europe. But many Ukrainians, like their ousted president, want closer ties with Russia. And one region where support for Russia is strong is Crimea. It's in southern Ukraine. It's where most residents identify themselves as Russian. And it's where what were assumed to be Russian troops came into Ukraine over the weekend and took control of the Crimean Peninsula, according to the U.S. The troops surrounded 3 Ukrainian military bases. There wasn't any combat, but the U.S. calls this an act of Russian aggression and says Russia is breaking international law by sending troops to Ukraine. Russia says there's no open confrontation here, but that it has the right to defend its people and interests in Ukraine. Time for the shout out. What's the most populated state in the U.S.? If you think you know it, shout it out. Is it Florida, Texas, New York, or California? You've got 3 seconds. Go. With around 38 million residents, California is far and away the most populated state in the U.S. That's your answer, and that's your shout out. It's been a season of extremes for residents of Southern California. While other parts of the country were shivering under snow, ice, and bitter cold, areas near Los Angeles have been parched by drought. Windy, dry conditions fostered the spread of wildfires, and when rain finally came from a recent storm system, there wasn't much vegetation left to soak it up, so that meant mudslides. Thankfully, no deaths have been reported because of the rain and mudslides, but the drought's been so bad that the storms barely made a dent in water levels. Much of the rain is streaming back out to sea, and water reservoirs are still at minimum levels. Even a forecast for more rain isn't good news for some folks.
It happened in minutes. Fire-scorched land couldn't hold the rain, so mud poured down from the Glendora foothills below.
It's havoc. It's bad. It's bad. It hasn't been this bad in a long time. It wasn't like this 20 minutes ago.
They're getting out while they can.
But you're not taking anything with you, you're just grabbing your dog?
Yeah, we got my laptop. I don't need too many things. Everything's gonna be fine. It's all replaceable.
Just a couple inches of rain, and you can see the effect here when the ground, which is burned by the fire, can't hold all of this. And something you'll notice, the debris, it shows it's been scarred by wildfire.
We need to make some plans to help get you out, okay?
Yeah.
1,000 homes are under a mandatory evacuation order because they sit below these scorched hills. 2 months ago, it was wildfire. Today, mud into their pools and backyards. California has been in drought for months. The sudden rain caught some by surprise. 2 people were found stranded in a tree trying to escape the rising water of the Los Angeles River. Take a closer look. It's not just people, but they're 2 dogs. You can see the rescuers, the Los Angeles firefighters, as they carefully move the frightened animals out of the tree, one by one, to the nearby rescue boat. And there's more rain coming, which is bad news for Kim and Dennis Kralik. They chose not to listen to the mandatory evacuation order. They're 1 road in and out, 2 covered in mud to drive.
Because you can't get out.
No, not right now. Until they clear this, we're stuck here.
What has Mother Nature been like for the last couple of months for you?
What? We had fire, drought, and now torrential rain.
Wind.
So, yeah, pretty much everything.
Yeah, we've hit all 4 elements at this point. I think we're done at this point with any more crazy storms.
There may not be much we can do about the weather, but we do a pretty good job of keeping track of it. NASA has teamed up with Japan's Aerospace Exploration Agency to launch a satellite that'll track rain and snow. It's called the Global Precipitation Measurement Corps Observatory. And if that sounds like an advanced name, it's a pretty advanced satellite. It's designed to circle the Earth every hour and a half, observe where it's raining, and send that info back to scientists every 3 hours. It can tell the difference between rain, ice, and snowfall and the different amounts of each. And it'll help researchers keep track of the global climate and its water cycle. This is not a cheap project. The satellite cost NASA $933 million. It's designed to last at least 3 years. First roll call of the month begins in the Pacific Northwest. We're starting in the Evergreen State, where the Waterville High School Shockers are watching CNN Student News. Glad to be part of your day in Waterville, Washington. Moving east to South Dakota, specifically Gregory, South Dakota, it's where we find the Gorillas of Gregory High School. And on the Atlantic coast, the Collinswood Language Academy Jaguars are on today's roll. Hello to everyone in Charlotte, North Carolina. March is Women's History Month in the U.S. Congress designated this in 1987, and it honors the accomplishments of women and how they've changed the country. Good report to kick off this month is about Julia Ernst. You won't find her in history books, yet she's currently a high school student, a future Harvard student, and a 120-pound wrestling champion.
There you go, front headlock, front headlock. On the mat, the wrestler in green is fast, fierce, and female. It is a rare sight even now in this overwhelmingly male sport. But Julia Ernst is a rare soul, a young woman beating the boys at their own game.
Nice, Julia, woo!
One of only 3 females on the 7th grade team at her private school, by freshman year the others had quit and Julia stood alone.
Despite the fact that I have supportive coaches and supportive teammates, it's still an interesting feeling to walk into a room and be the only person of your type. You know, you're in the locker room and you can't really josh around with the boys, you can't really make nicknames for each other, talk about whatever cool moves you learned in practice.
All right, Julia. Yet encouraged by her parents who are into martial arts, she started winning over and over again, sparking a range of reactions. Some boys would outright refuse to wrestle her, others,
if they're coming into the match with this sense of pride and this sense of superiority that they are male, therefore they are going to win the match. If I do end up beating them, then often, you know, those are the kids that are going to go off and cry in the corner or be really ashamed or have parents that come and yell at them.
She's one of the hardest working wrestlers I've ever met, the hardest working person I've ever met, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's athletics. She just goes as hard as she possibly could on everything.
that wins tournaments and fans. With the season winding down, Julia, a team captain, faced one match to become the winningest wrestler in her school's history.
Everybody was on their feet shouting and cheering, "Julia, Julia." And when she won, everybody jumped up and down. Women were literally crying to see this victory. She represents for all of these women, and I've had many conversations with women at these matches. Julia is my hero. She is doing, she is trailblazing for women.
Julia believes her little brother may soon enough eclipse her record, but for now she reigns supreme. 26 losses, 107 wins, all against men.
When you hear your coach talk about your record at your school, what do you think?
I'm happy. I'm very happy. I get a little bit giddy. I do a little bit of a happy dance, maybe.
Call it Carnival, call it Mardi Gras. In New Orleans right now, it's whatever floats your float. Despite this video, there's no crabbiness here. Thousands in the Big Easy to let the good times roll. The party has gone on for 9 days now. It wraps up tomorrow. Mardi Gras, after all, means Fat Tuesday. It ends when the Roman Catholic season of Lent begins on Ash Wednesday. The Mardi Party may not be as big here as it is in Rio de Janeiro, for instance, but for those who are here, it takes the king cake. The crowd just lagniappes this up. They've got a beat on all the fun. Some might say they're a motley crew, but they're okay by me if they're okay by you. We'll float some more news and puns your way tomorrow on CNN Student News.